Hi, George here, and today I'll be showing you how to use Affinity Photo to change the color of a black car. Let's just get back to that. Here we go, this black car, and we'll change that to red. You can use any color you want. We'll use red for this video. Now, this is a project I did on my other channel back in Affinity Photo 1. I'll be redoing it here on the new channel in Affinity Photo 2. Okay, let's just get rid of this one, and I'll open up the original image, which is right here. Okay, as always, the first thing we want to do is to make a duplicate of the background, and we'll be using that actually for our color change layer. So go over here to background, right click, and duplicate. There we go. So the top layer here, this will be our red layer. I'm just going to rename this. And the background is just the background stuff. Now to do this, we want to come in and make a careful selection all the way around the car, like that, clear on the back, over the wheel wells, and then come back and cut out the headlights, the grille, those kind of things from that selection. So it's a two-part process on making the selection. Plus these little guys down here, we need to remove those door handles, these little things right here on the rearview mirror, side windows, of course, and the windshield. All right, so let's start with our selection. And for that, go over here and grab the selection tool. It normally shows the rectangular marquee tool. There we go. Click and hold and come down to freehand selection tool. And then up here under type, set that up polygonal, and want to have this set here on a new selection. That's the first option. And then I'll set feathering here at just 1. I'll just type it in. Just 1 pixel. It just helps to smooth out the selection just a little bit. And let's turn anti-aliasing on, again, to help smooth out any roughness on those edges. Okay, so with this tool, with the polygonal lasso tool, what you do is you click a point, you find your next point and click, find your next point and click, find your next point and click, and then you finish your selection by going back to the beginning spot. That's that big dot. Now make sure you don't click too fast. I'm going to show you that. If I come around here, and over here, and here, if I double click here, it closes that selection. So make sure you don't click too fast when you're using this tool. If you want to make a curve, just click and put your dots closer together as you're clicking, and that gives you that curve. So further apart for straight lines and closer together for curves. Now it's when you're doing curves, that's when it's easy to accidentally do a double click like that. So just be careful about that. Give it a beat between each click and you should be just fine. It also helps to zoom in on this. I'll just scroll in like that. If you're in nice and tight, you're working with smaller areas and it's much easier to make your selections. Okay, let's just do just a little bit of this. And I'll start right down here at the edge of this bottom bumper piece. There's my first point. Then just follow along right around that edge. Now, if you're in kind of close, you may find that your point wants to snap a little bit into a different spot. That's because we're down to the pixel level. It's going to be snapping onto the grid where the pixels are. But it's pretty easy to work around that, and it will then smooth out when we're finished. We always can go back and adjust or clean up our selections very easily once we have this converted into a layer mask. Now, when you get up to this point, and you'll be going off the screen, just hold the space bar down. You can then pull your image down. Notice how the selection goes away. If I look over the space bar, it comes back again. So don't worry about that. And let's just follow this edge up and around. There we go. And then clear up and around the top side. Now I'll go ahead and stop it at this point, and then I'll finish the selection. And once I have the first part of the section finished, I'll then bring the video back up again, and we'll come back in and work on the next part of this. Okay, there we go. There's the first selection. We now need to come back in and cut out the holes for everything that shouldn't be in the selection. Now, at this point, if you want to, you can save your selection just in case things get messed up. So let's go up here to Select, come down to Save Selection, and save it as a spare channel. That's just a safety. Your channels are over here, and you'll find it right down here where it says Pixel Selection. Okay, let's go back over here to Layers again. We'll continue on this. Let's just zoom in down here. And I'll do the headlight up here. And let's also take care of one of these little circles down here. Everything else will be the exact same technique to remove this. So go over here and click on Subtract. And notice that the headlight has kind of a black rim around it, a little bit of a black bezel in here. So we need to include that in our selection. You can't see it at the top, but you can see it across the bottom. So I'll start way down here in the corner, and let's come just outside of the headlight. That's where that A bit of black plastic is showing in there. And I'll go clear up and around. Again, for tighter curves, put your dots closer together, and for longer straights, you can go further apart. Let's take this clear around to the top up here, down to this corner and down, and then inside the middle of the black area here, that's where that plastic piece is. You can kind of see it beginning to come in right down around here. And I'll take this down and around that. You can really see it very well down here. It's showing more at the bottom than it is at the top. Let's go clear around. And back to that beginning point, that blue dot. And blue dots real close together for this curve in here. Back to our blue dot, and that finishes off that. That just removes that from our selection. Now for these white dots in here, let's just zoom in a bit closer. This is a two-part process. I'm going to start by removing the whole thing in here, and I'll just come around this bit of a black line around the outside. I'll come right around that black line. When we're in this close, you can see how this is snapping to those pixels, and that's fine. And take clear out here, back to the beginning. We now need to add this part back in again, so let's switch our tool up here to add. And let's come in and add this back in again for the middle section. And just do the best that you can. When you're down this small, you can't really be that exact. And there we go. So at this point, I'll pause the video again. I'll go back and I'll finish all the rest of these little pieces like the scroll here, the grill over here, license plate, that little icon up here. Let me show you everything else I'll be putting back in again. These two stripes right here, this whole side window and the door handles, and of course, the front windshield. So I'll pause the video and I'll take care of that and then bring you right back in again. Okay, there's the whole selection made, including cutting out the parts that we don't want. Let's now convert this into a layer mask. So we're still on our red layer right here. Come down to the layer mask button, click on that. And that converts it into a layer mask. If you click on this little arrow right here, you can see the mask all by itself right down there. Okay, that's good. Let's click on the image side of the layer mask. We now can deselect this. That's the Control D keyboard shortcut. That's deselected. And we can now change the color in here. So come down here to this button. It's the Adjustments button. And in here, what you want is Recolor right there. This recolors the whole thing. Notice that we're coloring the whole image and not just the car. We don't want that, so let's just close that box for a second. Go up here to the Recolor layer, right-click on this, and come down to Mask to Below. That's now limited to just the area inside of that layer mask, and there's the red car. Now, it's not quite perfect yet. Let's double-click on this. In here, we can come in and make some adjustments if you want to. You can adjust your saturation right here, make it look a bit more realistic. Maybe not quite that bright. You can adjust your lightness right here. So you have a few controls to come in and tweak this. But I like doing a couple of tweaks, not just this. I'm going to put it right about here. I think that's pretty close, but that's good. Let's just close that down. Let's now put an adjustment layer on this. Come back down here and levels. And again, over here, right click and mask to below. So we're doing just the levels on the car itself. Gamma just a touch. This is going to be lightening or darkening the color. I'll go a little bit darker on that. And that's looking pretty good right in there, I think. Let's just check our black output and the white output. They're looking okay. Maybe just a touch more overall on the black in here, and possibly a touch more on the white. I think that's a reasonably good color. I like that. Let's close that one down. Now there's more contrast in here. It's more punchy than the background. We need to adjust the background. So come down to the background layer. Again, come down to this button right here, the adjustments button. Back up here to levels. And notice that this one is above the background layer, so that's fine. We now can increase our black amount in here, kind of richen in the blacks. That really helps a lot on this image. Maybe bring our whites up a little bit, just a bit more contrasty. So we've now balanced out the rest of the image to match the quality of the color. And there we go. Let's just check our gamma. It's a little bit darker, I think. And there it is. Close that down. We've now recolored this red from black. That easy to do. You can use any color that you want in there when you're working with the recolor adjustment right here. And if you want to learn a lot more about how to use Affinity Photo, I have a complete training course for this. It covers the whole program, and I'll put a link for that at the top of the description. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and give this video a like. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do that as well. I'm doing new videos all the time on both Affinity Photo, also Photoshop Elements, and some other programs and reviews as well. And I'll see you next time.